It's salty water, by the way.
Did you taste it?
Hmm. We reached. This way.
I'll go around back of us, just don't let us.
This way.
Yeah, straighten out your rudder. Straighten out your rudder.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, team, if we can just come on in here. Yeah, just come on into the shade here and we can have a chat.
Did you guys go in?
Yeah, and
Yeah,
all
you
the way
can.
in, and we'll be
It's-
able
it's
to
a bit
hold on to
shallow,
the
but
boats
it's one
and
of
have a nice
a few places you can
chat
actually,
without anybody floating
if you're
away.
out here on the day, the high tide, you can park your boat and hop out and go through and
Tom, if you want
explore. Mostly it's quite hard to get in because the mangroves are so much.
But the water ends here, right?
Well, the water's in here.
Okay.
Like,
You can't go now.
this high to the tide now. You can
Oh.
paddle in here, the beach tide up. You get about an hour before you have to get out because of the tide, otherwise you're in the mud.
Oh yeah.
So my name's Neil Henderson and I'm with Charitable Trust, an environmental organisation. We're up in Birkdale, not far from here, in Kaipātiki Project. So we're on the Estale Reserve, which is a really beautiful place. So today's about the most perfect day you could ever come out on the water. It's so flat, no wind, and even I won't fall in. And this is a really good opportunity to introduce those of you who have never really had a chance to meet our friends the mangroves. Back in the 1920s, 30s, 40s, 50s, when they'd go down to their little beach and they'd have a nice little beach, they could sunbathe and go for a swim. But over time the mangroves have kind of spread. And the reason for that is completely to do with us. Back in the day, a little bit better today, but still not so great, but back in the day people weren't too worried about when the rain came and washed all the silt and all the dirt into the streams. What mangroves love is all of that silt coming down the streams which falls out on the stream banks. So the mangroves just move onto it, they colonise it with their little seedlings. And so they've just grown as a result of our work up in the harbour, and of course the water quality has gone down a lot as a result. So I was reading about 1920, someone who lived in this area, 1920, 1930, you could see right down like 10, 20 feet, crystal clear. And the bed of the ocean here was full of fish. And the area is called Kaipātiki. And Kaipātiki means basically flounder dinner. So it's kai is food and patiki is the flounder. One day, if we do the right sort of stuff, then we may bring it back a little bit more like what it was. And we'll have that reward of all of this food that this place can offer us. People tend to think the mangrove is the baddie, but it's just doing what it does. And in actual fact, mangroves are a place where all of our little fish, a lot of our fish species, when they're first coming into being and they're just like eggs hatching into little hatchlings, they need the protection of the estuaries, they need the upper harbour. And the mangrove is a very rich environment for a whole lot of creatures to live and to thrive in. So it's sort of a bit of a balance. People would like to have their beaches, but the fish would like to have somewhere to grow up. We've got a rare bird species that we have around in this area, and it's called the banded rail. And it's just a small bird about this big, beautiful if you ever see one, but you're very lucky to see them because they're what's called cryptic birds. And their favourite place to hang out is in exactly these kinds of old mangrove forest. So we're starting to get them turning up in this area, and they fly all the way around through Hobsonville, up the Waitemata. And part of the work that we do with Kaipātiki Project is to do some monitoring. This particular one is a New Zealand species, but you'll find them everywhere. And you go to some places like in the United States, down in Florida or something like that, and your mangroves will be full of things like alligators. And I don't know if you've ever seen on YouTube, occasionally you see these photographs of python that ate alligator, type thing, you know. And I mean, these are gigantic pythons this round that can eat alligators. So, you know, we're pretty good, really. We don't have a lot of that sort of stuff jumping out. Pretty safe environment in the native bush in New Zealand. You can pretty much walk up into this area here and fling yourself down on the ground and crawl through the bush, and there's very little going to bite you.
Fawns were over there, no fawns over here. Go left.
Right?
Oh, sorry.
Mr. Gaslight Night, you are the love of my life. Trusting in words that you say when at times it ain't right. It ain't me, it ain't right, it ain't alright. It's cause I know myself the best.